should be on the air. Open up the chats. First chat of the night before we get started. Huh. Now I'll go on here and share this a little bit. Share the love. Share it to my public page. And we still got 3 minutes to go before we begin, so we'll get these shared. We'll begin at 8 p.m. Yeah, we'll share it to Jack Shadow. Harrisville Haunted House and to Chiller Chat. I think that's a good little selection there. And of course, we'll do the Chiller Chat or the Chiller Night Facebook group page. There we go. All right. Looks like we have successfully shared this. Ava has shared this. Give her a little heart there. Thank you, baby. Mr. Tracy says, hi-ho, Silver. Roger says, good evening, everyone. Mr. Tracy, up from the graves. Thanks for joining us. Look at that. We got 2 minutes or a minute and a half, something like that. So, wanted to hop on here and get this shared. And folks can share too if you'd like. It's up to you. Not a requirement for watching. Let's see. There are no requirements and no quizzes. Oops. Okay. $7:20 or 7:59, getting a little closer. Like I said, we'll begin here at 8. Almost there. And it is 8 o'clock. Hey everybody, this is Bryan Hogue. Welcome to the Chiller Night Live pre-show, Saturday, November 27th. It is just but mere days after Thanksgiving, and speaking of Thanksgiving, John writes, if you survived your turkey coma, Black Friday shopping, and Saturday post-Thanksgiving events, here's your special reward. This is your humble announcer, Crozak the Grand, and this is Chiller Night pre-show with your host, Bryan Hogue. Well, thank you, Crozak the Grand. appreciate that. Mr. Tracy says, love school, hate tests. Love school, hate tests. Oh, okay. Because there's no quizzes involved in the pre-show. Okay. All right. Wow. I enjoyed school. I can't complain. I had a good time. I didn't care for the test either, so I will agree with you there. All right, folks. Well, first of all, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Um, we did. And then we all just promptly came down with several colds or flus or something. So we're getting over that. Or I wish we were getting over it. I think we're kind of getting into it. And so we'll see how that goes. So, but I hope everyone's doing well out there. Raymond says, greetings all. Hey, Raymond, thanks for joining us. Tonight. What do we got cooking here on the Chiller Night TV schedule? And where you can find that. Now, we don't play the movies here. I've had a lot of people who kind of get on here and they wonder, where's the movie? Well, I'll tell you where the movie's at. It's not on here, but where you can find it is in 1 hour. This is the pre-show, online pre-show, but in 1 hour, you can go to streammedia.tv, and go to their website, and you can look up Watch Live, the Watch Live TV, and this is what you're going to see tonight, beginning at 9 p.m. on Stream TV at streammedia.tv. 9 p.m. the movie is The Ape. That's right. The Ape, which features Boris Karloff. Chiller Chat at 11 p.m. My guest is Sean Kelly from the Pittsburgh Paranormal Society. So make sure you check that one out. That's the one that we just taped live on Tuesday night on the 23rd. 11:30. Chiller Night Theater. The movie is Kill Baby Kill. 1:30 a.m. Chiller Chat. My guests are David and Diana Silvio. And that is part 2 of a 2-part episode that was taped live on November 9th. 2 a.m. Chiller Night Theater. The movie is Samson versus the Vampire Woman. So there you have it. There is our list of Chiller Night television programming. The lineup for tonight beginning at 11 p.m. So, Brad says, it's Chiller Night pre-show with Bryan Hogue, starring Bryan Hogue. Now, the man of the hour. Here's Bryan. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate it. Mr. Tracy says, 30 degrees here in rain. Ugh. Oh, where are you at? Where's Mr. Tracy at to where it's 30 degrees and raining? That's not good. Ugh. Ugh, indeed. That doesn't sound good at all. Brad says, how was your Thanksgiving, Brad? We had a great Thanksgiving, a great day. And then the very next day, almost like clockwork, everybody gets sick in the house. So we all got colds and flus and all that. So I don't know. I guess we'll just get it early in the season and get it over with. Maybe that's how that works. I don't know. But the Thanksgiving itself was we had a great day. I enjoy that. I enjoy cooking the dinner. I have a lot of fun with Ava and I in the kitchen, just making the dinner throughout the day. So probably have a little bit more fun eating it than preparing it. But how was everybody's Thanksgivings where you are in your neck of the woods, I guess? But yeah, we had a really good day, so can't complain. Now this weekend, dare I say it? Thinking about putting up the Christmas tree. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling. I've taken all kinds of medicine trying to knock this out of me. So, yeah. We'll see. I'm a holidays kind of guy. I love the holidays, so I get into it. Enjoy, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. And, of course, Halloween, but we just had that, and we, if I had my haunted house, I would still be tearing that thing down. So, um, as much as I didn't like not doing it this year, there's parts of me that, you know, after October was sitting there on some of these cold, windy, breezy, snowy days and rainy days thinking, huh, well, you know, I guess, you know, you got to take the good with the bad. Um, Brad says that chemical that they put in the turkey makes you feel really sleepy. Oh, they put it in the turkey, or is it just naturally in there? I don't know, but yeah, I know what you mean. That I forget what they call that. I think overeating does that too. Just makes you tired. Doc says our tree goes up tomorrow. I think ours is too, Doc. I mean, I was thinking about today, but I'm still not quite up to it yet. But maybe tomorrow we'll see. Raymond says I enjoy going out with family and friends. Yeah, that me too. That's a I love that socializing, especially this time of years. Tom says yes on the tree. I think so. Anybody else set theirs up or tentatively plan to set yours up right after Thanksgiving, like that weekend? Because I do. I always say every year. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I wait an extra week. But I'm thinking tomorrow. I'm thinking tomorrow. I don't know. Um, Mr. Tracy said, started the beast 2 years sitting snow blow. Started the beast 2 years sitting snow. The snowblower was sitting for 2 years, and you started it up. Oh, I hope it works for you. Glam Fang says, evening all. Hey Brian, hey Raymond, Mr. Tracy. Hope you and yours feel better soon, Brian. Thank you. I appreciate that. Some exchanges of hello to Tom and Glam from Glam and Tom. Raymond says, I was wondering, Brian, if you enjoyed not dis disassembling the house. If you enjoyed not disassembling the house. I am enjoying that. I am enjoying not disassembling the house. So it is kind of nice because through all the work that goes into the haunt, and then believe it or not, like during October, I'm kind of like a lot, even though the haunt's going on. Now that's a big deal. On the nights that it's going on the nights that it's not going on, I get to kind of sit back and relax a little bit, you know, and then muster up the energy for the weekend to come. And so October, in a way, is kind of my my break, you know, for part of October. And but yet I know at the end of October, after the 31st, I know what's coming. You know, I know the teardown is right around the corner. So, you know, toward the end of October, I already start like, I got to get on this. So yeah, I didn't miss it at all, not at all this year. Love the haunt. I hate the setup and tear down. I hate it. Um, so Mr. Tracy says, I tripped the fan. I tripped the fan. The tryptophan. Oh, the chemical in the turkey. I knew it was something like that. I knew it started with T, and that was probably as far as I could get with it. So there you go. Raymond says, glam. Brad says, don't forget your Jack Shadow Christmas ornaments on your tree. Yeah, what would those be? Little skulls, maybe? I don't know. Uh, or little eyes, maybe little eyes with hanging on little optic nerves for the for the light bulbs or whatever, you know, the ornaments. Um, Terrence says, Brian, what's the best movie you saw this year? That I saw this year. Wow. Wow. What's the best movie I saw this year? That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know. I can't think of it. I'm drawing a blank with that. Because I haven't gone to the theater. The stuff I'm watching is just, you know, stuff that's streamed. What was the best movie I saw this year? I don't know. Um, as far as just being entertained, I watched. This isn't a movie. This isn't a theatrical release, but Deadwood. But although I watched Deadwood the movie, I didn't enjoy that as much as the series. But I don't know. I maybe ask me again at the no. That's not still not a movie. I was going to say the Book of Boba Fett's coming out December 29th, but that's not a movie. I don't know. I can't think of it. Um, I can't think of one off the top of my head. I don't know. How about anybody got a favorite one they want to throw out at us here? I'll think along the way here. Maybe I'll come up with something. So I'm sitting here with like the lights are on but nobody's home. Look, um, Glam says, Brian, when you take the haunt down, where does all the stuff go? Any go into storage, or is it all new every year? Well, some of it's new every year. We try to, I like I like 50% of it to be new. 50% of it. Now that doesn't mean I have to get all new props and equipment, because I make props. I try to make a lot of my own props. And where it goes well right in Harrisville. I get to keep it in the what they call the bandstand building in the Harrisville Community Park, which is nice because then we just load it onto trucks and various vehicles and skits and pull them over to where we are setting up the haunt. So getting the stuff out is the easy part. Getting it back in, where gravity, being the cruel mistress that it is, fights us every step of the way. Hoisting up real caskets up into this thing off the back of a truck bed, because it's all up on like a second story of a I don't know how to explain it. I had some pictures and videos over the last couple of years that I posted to kind of give you an idea, but there's so much walls, just so many wall panels and caskets and heavy props. But that's where it is. And fortunately, I don't have to move it that far, but I do have to move it. I got to move it. Doc says, I just saw the Creeping Terror. Wow, awesomely bad. I loved it. Oh yeah, the Creeping Terror, huh? Raymond says the Jolly Ranger on the tree. Yeah, there you go. That'd be a good Jack Shadow looking ornament. Glam says surely the new Godzilla Kong movie should be on the list. Right. Yeah, that I'm sure it was right up there. Terrence says, for me it was the Night House. The Night House. I didn't see that one. Mr. Tracy says Chopping Mall Black Friday. Chopping Mall Black Friday. Okay. Glam Fang says, hi, Terrence. Brad says, starting on January 1st, 2022, all movies, TV shows, etc. before 1927 will be in the public domain. Oh, is that right? On January 1st, 2022. Well, maybe we'll have... Oh, before 1927. Okay. Interesting. Terrence says, oh, hi, Glam, or oh, hail, Glam. John says, and where does your ghost go for the holidays? Right there. Just hangs out. Doesn't go too far. I always see him just hovering around the castle, He doesn't like to venture out too much. Tom says, good point, Glam. Oh, and then Doug says, replying to Brad, in a few years, unless the law changes, Dracula and Frankenstein become public domain. Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah, 1931. I'll tell you what, I don't know if there's any like, so there's no way for them to just still own that. I mean, after 100 years, does it just automatically go into public domain? I don't understand that. If they're the ones that, if Universal made it, it's theirs. You mean after 100 years, they can no longer claim ownership? Is that how that works? I'm asking. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I just go to a list, the public domain list when I'm selecting movies. But as far as how that works, I don't know. Um, Mr. Tracy, Range Rider A Team. Range Rider A Team. I don't. Is that a movie? I don't know what that is. I haven't seen it. I've seen the A Team series, but that's all I know. I know nothing more than that. Okay. Um, you saw the chiller chat for tonight is me and my interview with Sean Kelly from the Pittsburgh Paranormal Society. Let's see something here. We have Bryan Yeager. Wait a second. Hold on there, folks. Excuse me. Just for a moment. Bryan Yeager, the Lumberjack LaRue. If you know professional wrestling in the independent circuits, particularly in Western Pennsylvania. And if you ever watch Dark Horse Championship Wrestling, my show, you would have seen Lumberjack LaRue. So I've been wanting to get him on the show. We were going to get him on earlier in the month, and that didn't work out. And here's another thing: if you know somebody wants to be on Chiller Chat, or if you're watching this and you want to be on Chiller Chat, you got something that you think that we would be able to bring up on the show, and it would be fall within the genres of horror, science fiction, paranormal, or even nostalgic collectibles or something like that within those genres. And occasionally wrestling, just because let them put me in touch with them, and if they don't have Skype, they don't have Zoom, we can still work something out. Like this last Tuesday, there's nothing we could do to get the Skype to work with myself and Sean Kelly. We just couldn't get it to work. It's consistently showing one or the other to be offline. We were both online. Why it was saying that, I don't know. If I knew, we would have fixed it. So what we did was we used a streaming service I think it was called StreamYard. I have everything written down, but we were able to use that. Now, I didn't have time to get in there because we did this a short while just before the program. So I had to use a photograph, but the audio was so much more clear. And the neat thing was, I could sit and see Sean, a video of Sean, but unfortunately, you, the viewers, couldn't. Now, if I can get that figured out, how to get that video on right there, like we did with Skype, and then what Tom, was able to show me there with Zoom, then we're taking our first steps into expanding the world of Chiller Chat. So, but the point of all this is, if somebody wants to be on the show, they don't have Skype, they don't have Zoom, get in touch with me. We'll chat, we'll talk, and behind the scenes, and we'll get something set up for you. So we'll get you on. Doc says, "Yep, U.S. law. I'm sure Disney and Universal will lobby." Okay, that's interesting. Tom says there is a maximum on copyright protection. That's something. 100 years, huh? Brad says, I think if some movies just laying dormant and collecting dust should be in the public domain. Anyone agrees? I don't know. Mr. Tracy, Range Rider Murdoch. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. That's a movie. I can't say that I've seen that one. Glam says, thanks, Tom. When you have two icons in the same movie, it deserves a mention. Yeah. And big icons at that. With Godzilla versus Kong. Or John says, watch Pacific Rim Uprising, and I realized why I didn't like it. From the discount scoff powder rangers, teens don't belong piloting giant robots, to seeing Charlie Day becoming a tool. It was really bad. I have not seen Pacific Rim. It's interesting that you say that because some of the comments that you just wrote, because I was thinking about that. I was thinking about I don't get it. And then with the question earlier about what was my favorite movie this year, I can't say that I get all excited anymore about um, a new movie coming out, like a James Bond movie or the new Indiana Jones movie coming out, because it's not the same people writing these movies in many cases. So if you're going to, just look what The Last Jedi, if you're going in hopes of reliving your the nostalgia of your youth, you're unfortunately you're dealing with a completely different mindset on many occasions. I can't say all because I don't I don't know that. I'm just going on what I'm seeing and then the articles that I'm reading and reviews I'm watching on YouTube. And you just wonder, how can they go that way with some of these things? When you take iconic heroes, these characters who are deep rooted, have these long, deep rooted establishments in their character and their virtues, and then you just, kick them to the curb, and the attempts to um, highlight a new character, and kick the other one to the curb, forgetting about the fan base that got you there to begin with. So I can't say that I get that excited. In fact, when I hear they're coming out with a movie, I'll be honest with you, anymore, the thought of a new movie or a series anymore, I'm just like, oh, I just wish you'd just leave it alone. Just because of that. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of the sub, subverting the expectations of the viewers, as if that's some crafty, ingenious, thing anymore. Like they're so insightful and artistic to subvert the, to throw the heroes of old kick them to the curb. But there's a lot of that going on, not just in movies. So I guess that's the world we live in, unfortunately, right now. Let's see, where in the world am I here? Brad says the Bat movie was made in 1926, and they're still in the public domain. Well, yeah, because there are movies in the 80s, and maybe even later than that are in public domain. If they don't, there is a also, if they don't renew the movie's copyright, I know a little bit about that. It doesn't automatically, that can go into the public domain. And I don't know much more than that, to be honest with you. I know there are ways for it to get there, if nobody jumps on it and keeps up with it, then it can slip into the public domain. But and I think that you mentioned that here before about the 100 years thing. I'm just surprised. The day that I can show Dracula or Frankenstein on here is like, even if I retire, I'll be honest, I've been thinking about retiring, Jack, after this year. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, that's not to alarm anybody who's a Jack Shadow fan, because to put it in perspective, I think that every year. I've been thinking that, so unless something really booms here, you know, relatively soon, we'll see. But the point of all that is, um, even if I retire Jack, I would absolutely have him come out of retirement for these, the greats, you know, the Universal's Frankenstein and Dracula. I'd have to have him come back out for that. Absolutely. Let's see. Brad says, Phantom of the Opera, The Lost World, 1925, public domain. Yeah, yeah, I knew Phantom was. Craig says hi. Hey, Craig. Thanks for joining us. Brad says, and we're heading in Dracula, Frankenstein, and King Kong range for public domain. Yeah, yeah, yeah. About 11 years to go, oh, more or less, for not even that for King Kong. It came out in 1933, and the others came out in 1931. Tom says, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's in quotes. Who are you quoting there? Sounded like me, probably. Mr. Tracy, Charlie Chaplin. I remember Charlie Chaplin. He was up in this area back in his day, up in the Oil City area. He was in Oil City, actually. Charlie Chaplin was. Buster Keaton. Him, I don't know if he ventured in our neck of the woods or not. John says, here's a little bit of history on this day. Popeye the Sailor meets Sinbad the Sailor, which was directed by David Fleischer and Willard Bosky, November 27th, 1936. I can honestly say I did not know that. I've never heard of that. I didn't know that those two sailors had met. In 1936, the same year that Raiders of the Lost Ark was set to have happened in 1936. Frank Esposito. Hello. Did you like the 2013 Lone Ranger with Johnny Depp as Tonto? I did not like that movie. And it was only years out. In fact, it was sitting here while I was doing one of these pre-shows within this year that I sat here and thought, if you look at it as like look at the character of Batman, especially since the 70s, you know, the Neil Adams story lines and stuff, you know, that Neil Adams Batman. When they began to really take it serious, you know, the world's greatest detective and just an expert, you know, hand-to-hand combat fighter, and a really very interesting superhero. And you could tell that they were taking it serious, you know, and then that blossomed into the 80s, into the Dark Knight and the Frank Miller the Dark Knight storylines, and then that really got a little gritty, a little dark, you know. And so Batman at one time was a really campy show back in the 60s, of course, you know, with Adam West and Burt Ward, and done very well. I love watching those shows, but I also love the Batman, basically your super ultra ninja vigilante or anti-hero character. And so if I'm looking at it like that, like the Lone Ranger, if you're looking at it as if they did with the Lone Ranger what they did with Adam West and Burt Ward, and if you're looking at it as a campy, humorous movie like that, I suppose it could be funny. I'd like to, maybe I could rewatch it with that in mind and keeping a sense of humor about it. But at the time, I admit I was such a Lone Ranger fan. I was expecting to see this strong, iconic hero, and we saw the butt of a joke. You know, it was just a mockery of what a strong leading man in a movie would be, and so at that I couldn't stand it. You know what they did with the Lone Ranger, because I loved that character growing up. However, like I said, if I were to look at it, like, can you have a sense of humor about it if you put it in that mindset? But if they did that, why would they have spent the money that they did on the budget? Why would they have? Well, they didn't have streaming services back then, so I guess they you know, but I don't know. I don't like the idea of them taking you know, you can't, you're not, it's not like you're not allowed to have a strong leading male role anymore. You know, the men as a hero, you have to, you know, they have to be mocked, and masculinity has to be downplayed or branded as toxic in some way. So I don't like that necessarily. But again, like I said, in all fairness, if I were to watch it with that in mind, like, okay, maybe they were trying to do what they did with Adam West, you know, and that crew back then. And if I were to watch it at that point, trying to put that in mind, maybe I could get a laugh out of it. But I was hoping to see like an actual remake of, you know, like look at the first Raiders of the Lost Ark. I just brought that up back when somebody mentioned 1936. You know, Indiana Jones, that was a, you know, that was a, wow, what an instant iconical character, you know. I kind of was hoping for something like that, you know, that the mix, perfect mix of Western and action, you know. I thought that would have been cool. I mean, you know, even with like the cartoons back in the 60s of like Tonto, you know, like you figure he was like, he had a bow and arrow in those ones. Like he was really, like really good at the bow and arrow. And that's something we didn't see on the series. So I thought they could have done a lot with those characters and brought it into a modern movie. You know, let's see what their skill sets are, you know, and how we can really entertain folks now. But it didn't seem like they really were interested in doing that. They wanted to make a joke out of it. Mr. Crab says, Buster Crab, Buck Rogers. Yeah, yep, Buck Rogers. And I'm trying to think, and of course, Flash, wait a minute, Buck Rogers. He also plays Flash Gordon. I'm drawing a blank here. Well, maybe some of that's due to all the cold medicine I've been consuming today. I don't know. Mr. Tracy, Mickey Mouse, Steamboat Willie. Brad says, whoever heard of Charlie Chaplin of silent movies? I have. Um, Mr. Tracy, 1943, I think. Glam says, I never followed Batman movies, but wondered why they kept changing the actor who played him. Guess I'm just used to the same actor maintaining the role. Yeah. You know, it's funny about that. Okay, in the 80s, Batman had developed into a real darker, grittier version of even the 70s character. And the 70s was a really great time for Batman. And so was the 80s in a different, they went in a, you know, in a, just really uh, pounded the point home with him being a dark brooding and his, you know, his martial arts skills second to none, you know, and they really made it interesting, super interesting character out of him. And then, who did they get to play him? Who? Michael Keaton. And I'll tell you, as a Batman fan back in the 80s, I was very, very disappointed to hear Michael Keaton was going to play Batman until I saw Batman. And I, to this day, I still think Michael Keaton was the best Batman. I think he did a great job. So I was very pleasantly surprised, and I am rarely pleasantly surprised these days when I'm watching movies. It does happen occasionally. I'm not going to sit here as a grumpy old man and say it doesn't, um, but I would have liked to have seen Michael Keaton continue. Now, Michael Keaton will once again reprise his role as Batman in a Flash movie. So, and I'm sure that kind of deals with parallel timelines or something. I don't know. Kind of what they seem to be doing with the Spider-Man No Way Home. You know, where they're introducing the multiverse and all the different Spider-Mans that we've seen in the past, the different movies, actually fit in with what they're doing now. They're just in different I guess different multiverses. So, interesting. Um, Brad says 1968 Night of the Living Dead is on Peacock, and they're on public domain. Yeah, Night of the Living Dead. That's on quite a bit of them. That's on probably even on YouTube. I know it has been, unless that was taken down. You never know if YouTube anymore. Lazycorn says, "Hey peeps, hey Lazycorn. Sorry I'm late," he said. "No problem. Thanks for joining us." Glamfang says, "Lasercorn." Miss Tracy says, "Flash Gordon." Yeah, Buster Crab. I don't know. I don't know why I Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. Momentary blank there. It is 8:36. Let me throw the schedule up again, and then we'll get jump right back into the comments here. 9 o'clock. The movie is The Ape. The Ape. I said. The Ape. With with Boris Karloff. All right, 11 p.m. Chiller Chat. My guest is Sean Kelly from the Pittsburgh Paranormal Society, and that was taped earlier this week on November 23rd. So I hope you get a chance to check that out if you missed us Tuesday night. 11:30 Chiller Night Theater. The movie is Kill Baby Kill. 1:30 a.m. Chiller Chat. My guest is David and Diana Silvio. And this is part 2 of a 2-part episode. And that was filmed back on the 9th, taped, I should say. 2 a.m., Chiller Night Theater. The movie is Samson versus the Vampire Woman. There you have it. There's a lineup. If you've not checked that movie out, well, I don't know if you want to stay up till 2 a.m., but those who are true night owls, check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Tom says, "We can thank Doctor Who and James Bond for that model glam." What did I miss? oh, right, about the switching of the actors. Yeah. They went from Sean Connery to, if you blinked, you miss it, George Lazenby, in Her Majesty's Secret Service, and then we get Roger Moore, and then of course you saw the other guys coming in. Doctor Who, I can't say, we talked about Doctor Who, I think it was last week, but I never watched it. Much as I like science fiction, I never watched Doctor Who. But I had some friends who loved it, and they would tell me stuff, and I thought, well, that sounds like something I'd really love. But it was like Dark Shadows. That's a show I never got into, but I'm sure I would enjoy it. Mr. Tracy says, "Bruce Lee, Kato, Green Hornet." Yeah, Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee played Kato, and the Green Hornet was his secret identity. I don't know if any of you know this. It was Brett Reed. Brett Reed was the direct descendant of the Lone Ranger. I don't know if you knew that or not. Lone Ranger's brother was John Reed, or John Reed was the Lone Ranger. His brother Dan Reed had a son, and then I think it's his son's son was Brett Reed. Is that how that works? I'm trying to think of how that works. His great nephew, I think Brett Reed is the Green Hornet, is the Lone Ranger's great nephew. So how about that? I didn't know if you knew that. And the Green Hornet is supposed to be a modern day Lone Ranger. You got the Green Hornet, you got Black Beauty as the car they drive, and his trusty companion, his teammate there is Kato instead of Tonto. So I didn't know if you knew that, but the Green Hornet, I'm connecting dots here, folks. Lone Ranger, Green Hornet, and then Batman. Green Hornet and Batman, or Green Hornet and Kato, were on the 1960s Batman series. All right, I think I did a pretty good job there. But let's see. Glam says, "Just living the nightmare. How have you been?" Lasercorn, living the nightmare. Lasercorn says, "You're sounding kind of rough, Brian. Everything okay?" Oh, I appreciate that. I am feeling kind of rough. Yeah, we just all got hit early yesterday, with colds and or flus. I don't know, but I've just been, we've all been just taking, medicine to try to knock this out. So we'll see how it goes. But Frank says, "I agree. I I can't even compare it to the original Lone Ranger way back in 1949. No, if you were, again, I just, and it didn't do well at all. It was a failure. I mean, it wasn't received well at all. When you take an iconic character like that, again, unless the audience is in on the joke, like with Batman, like you could tell right away that this was a spoof. But Batman at the time, even in the '60s, it wasn't a far leap. That character hadn't developed yet into the serious character that we know now. So even in the '60s, to have things like kind of outlandish and crazy like they were doing was still happening in the comics at that time. It wasn't that big of a jump from the show to the comic books. It was just an obvious uh, parody program, where to kids like myself at the time who were watching it, not caught the reruns in the early '70s, we didn't know it was a parody or a spoof show. We didn't know it was supposed to be funny. We just saw the costume characters and stuff. Some of the you know incidents that occurred were a bit bizarre, like Batman surfing against the Joker, and they had their costumes and their swimming trunks out over their costumes, stuff like that. That you said, you're like, oh, I don't know why they made that decision, but okay. Uh, but of course, the parents caught on. The adults, immediately could catch on what they were doing, and it was hilarious once you understood that. But to make a movie of that, let's say they're going to make a movie well, let's look at what they did with Zorro back with Antonio Banderas. That was I like that. I like the first one. The second one, not so much. Didn't grab at me. But the first one was. I thought they did a really cool job with that movie. Bring the character back like that. You can have some humor in it, but don't make the character a joke. Especially after it's supposed to be molded and fashioned after a very strong character. You can't do that. It's not going to be received well, and they really failed miserably, with when they did that, because a lot of people were expecting to see the Lone Ranger, and they didn't get that, did they? It's crazy. I don't know what goes. People make good money. I'm sure they make tons more money than I'm making now. And why? Why are they? Who's letting them make these decisions? That's what gets me, is like, who's letting this? Who's approving this? Somebody's signature's on somewhere saying, "Oh yeah, I agree that this is a good idea." All right. All right, Mr. Tracy says Japan Spider-Man, cool. Okay, I've never seen the Japan. I'm aware of it, and then he turned into a robot or something. I don't know, something weird with that. All right, some people are saying hi back and forth. Lasercoin says the nightmares I have would make a great horror movie. Either that or something else unmentionable. Well, maybe you can make a movie someday, or share the idea with somebody who can. Mr. Tracy says The Phantom. The Phantom, yeah, that's an old comic from yesteryear, isn't it? They made that movie back in the '90s with Billy Zane. Was it the '80s? I think it was early '90s. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Tom says that GH info is actually pretty fascinating. Did Green Hornet? Oh. You on antihistamines. I'm taking Dayquil. Something. I've been switching. I take Mucinex and Dayquil and some other unmentionables. um, I just don't want to get pneumonia again. That did not impress me, I'll tell you that. Mr. Tracy says Wild Wild West. I remember that show. I used to watch that. Back, Mary Terry says, so any movies showing on here? Back, Mary Terry. No, not on this pre-show, but at 9 o'clock, go to streammedia.tv, and if you go there, it's at 9 o'clock, you're going to see The Ape with Boris Karloff. And then we got two other movies throughout the night. 11:30, we're going to be playing Kill Baby Kill. And 2 a.m., Chiller Night Theater. The movie is Samson versus the Vampire Woman. So every Saturday night, we play 3 Chiller movies. And then, of course, we have 2 Chiller Chat shows where it's a talk show where we speak to guests. Throw this up here. 11 o'clock, Sean Kelly from the Pittsburgh Paranormal Society, and then at 1:30 a.m., Chiller Chat. My guesses are David and Diana Silvio, Kiss of Death Productions in Pittsburgh. Tom says, Neil Hamilton, it has been said, took his Ryle and character very seriously. He never played it for laughs. Wasn't that Commissioner Gordon? I think that was Commissioner Gordon. That's what I like about it. The characters, with some exceptions, like Frank Gorshin and what was the other guy who played the Riddler? The guy who played Gomez Adams. Gosh, I can't believe I'm not I'm forgetting some. Some of the bad guys were like really over the top, but the Commissioner Gordon, and that was I think that's brought up on Jack Shadow might mention that on the movie The Devil's Hand. Just I don't know, he had a seriousness about him that made it all the more funny, when you look at how serious he appears to be in that role, because there's some silliness in the expressions and stuff with the Chief O'Hara and Aunt who the heck's her Aunt Harriet, maybe. I forget, but I don't know, the more serious the character acts, it makes it all the more funny like Adam West was just so he never I just the more serious he sounds in such an outlandish situation, it brings good comedy. Brad says the Superman cartoons from Paramount is public domain. From Paramount, is that are those the ones from like the 30s or early 40s or something? I know those are pretty cool. One time I remember back in the 80s, I bought like all the DVDs or not DVDs, I didn't have those back then, but the VHS tapes with the Superman cartoons. Brad says some episodes of The Lone Ranger and Monsters are public domain. Yeah, I think you can find most of the Lone Ranger episodes on YouTube, if not all. I don't know about all. I don't know. Maybe they all are on there. I don't know. But the Monsters, I didn't know that. I don't know. Can you find them on YouTube? If they're public, if something's public domain, it's likely going to be on YouTube. If it's not public domain, it might be on there for a bit, but they might take it down. I don't know, but I'd have to look that stuff up. But that's kind of cool. So, Mr. Tracy says, Aunt Harriet, real spy. Aunt Harriet. So I was right on the name. Is that what I said? John says, did anyone watch the 2021 Mystery Science Theater 3000 Thanksgiving Marathon? No, I didn't watch it. They will have a new season for next year, and movies include Santo and Dracula's Treasure, Gamera vs. Monster X, and Robot Wars. Ah, cool. Sounds like some pretty good ones. Mr. Tracy, Car 54, where are you? Car 54, yeah. With Fred Gwynn and Al Lewis, both from the Monsters. That's Herman Munster and Grandpa. So, pretty cool. All right. And of course, Rob Zombie will be making the Munsters movie. I don't know when that's coming out, but it's coming out. Yeah, a remake of the Munsters. I'm not sure why they do that stuff. I don't know. Is it to get younger viewers kind of interested in that type of thing? I don't know. I don't know. Because the older viewers like myself are never really impressed with those, remakes. When you're bringing something of old that you grew up, you have that memory locked in there of what that is, and then you see something that somebody new has envisioned for it. It's oftentimes totally different. Um, you can't fall in love with it again like that. But maybe I'm sure that's it. Get a newer generation of viewers. Maybe that's it. But Brad says sometimes you got to watch out for red flags of copyright infringement on YouTube. Yeah. Yes, you sure do. Brad says Carnival of Souls, really? LOL. Yeah, they gigged me with that one because of part of the song that was playing on the radio before they were drag racing or something. Um, it's just unbelievable. But yeah, I don't have new episodes that play. All the episodes I of Chiller Night Theater that we did this year, none of them are on YouTube. Um, you're only able to see them if you go to stream TV on the night that they're playing. That's the only way you can watch them. So for good or for bad, but I can't put them on YouTube. I can't. I just get to. In fact, I'm lucky that our YouTube viewers tonight are able to watch this because I got dinged with something, you know, and I wasn't even putting the movie on. I was just testing the audio on a program, and I put a sample up. And it was set to private because I wasn't putting it out for people to view, but it was an old obscure movie, but and I intended to take it back down because I was testing the audio. When I'm doing Chiller Night Theater, I like to try to make the audio like Jack Shadow's skits, you know, relatively within the same range as the movie segments that you're watching, and it's not always easy to do because when I'm editing, even if I had headphones on, I can't tell. There's no way for me to tell. I have to actually put it on YouTube and go watch it on a TV screen to hear it, on a speaker to hear if the volume's the same. But I got dinged with that, and then they said that that could affect whether this show here is playing on YouTube. So it's just too many risks I take, when I do that. Glam says remakes are tricky because it's hard to recreate the originality and chemistry that made the first one so special. Big shoes to fill, and anything less usually don't go over well with fans. Cold medicine. Yeah, I agree. There are some remakes that I do enjoy, but they do take away some of the charm of the original. But some of the remakes, and I've mentioned them on here before, that I do enjoy watching is War of the Worlds. I do like that one, the one with Tom Cruise. Dare I say it, an actual big budget Hollywood production that went over well in my opinion. And Night of the Living Dead, 1990. I've spoken about that one before, and I enjoyed that one very much. Low budget. That one was very low budget, just like the original. But yeah, I very much enjoy the remake. There are some remakes that are done well if that person has a lot of heart, and well, you can tell Tom Savini obviously had a lot of love and passion, and just Night of the Living Dead and Tom Savini. So yeah, he was gonna make sure that was done right, and do everything he could to make George Romero happy, and the fans, of course. But yeah, big shoes to fill, that's for sure. Brad says a song from a car radio that probably paying attention to is not on public domain. Give me a break. Yeah. And I don't even know if that was true. Because a lot of the stuff I get and I can test it, then they'll say, oh, okay. You know, like, but it just got to the point to where, you know, everything, I was contesting everything and it was just taking up so much of my time that I get tired of it. I get tired of it. Um, Tom says the Thing remake, Carpenter exceeded the original, and I love the original. Oh yeah, that's a good example. That's a real good example. Yeah, the remake of the Thing. Yeah. What else is there? Anybody can think of? Does anybody think of a remake? I thought of you know, I wouldn't say War of the Worlds was a better than the original, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Night of the Living Dead, 1990. I love that. You know, I love that remake. Between that and watching the original, I'd rather watch the remake. I just love it. You know, there's nothing wrong with the original. Not ever gonna say that. Don't you dare say I did. But I love the remake, and you know the Thing. You know, Tom brings up the Thing. That's a great example. Sometimes the remakes can, you know, have that outcome. Brad says 5 minutes until Chiller Night Theater. Get your computers ready. Right. Glam says some remakes are just big old cash grabs, and those can be more offensive than honoring to the original. That's true. And you have a room full of people, I'm sure, that want nothing. They don't carry over the heart and, like I said, the charm of the original. They have no interest in that. You've got just some number, some bean counters in there, and that's all they're doing. Is, you know, it's a marketing. It's to sell toys and merchandise, and that's all it is. And you can tell. You can tell that. You can tell when you're watching something like that if it has any, um, if it has that, you know, a shred of endearment from the past, you know, like you grew up watching. When you get somebody who loves that product, loves that storyline, loves those characters, you know it. You know it. Look at The Mandalorian. I bring that up. I'll bring that up again. The Mandalorian is a great example of what happens when you get true fans like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni who bring their version to the table, who grew up loving it, loving it, loving it, loving it. You know, when you got someone like that, you're gonna have something that is a homage, you know, and an honor to the original, not just slapping some numbers and throwing up some posters and trying to sell some toys and making a few bucks. And you can spot the difference. You can. I mean, I think it's very easy to tell. Like that. Well, we're almost. I almost got off on the Last Jedi, but we don't have enough time. John says this has been a Chiller Night pre-show. Bryan Hogue. This is Krozak the Grand reminding you of 30 days until Christmas. All right, and Hanukkah starts tomorrow night. So what are you waiting for? Get that tree up and those first candles. And light those first candles. Stay chilled and keep thrilled. See you next Saturday night. Well, thank you, John, and thank you for everybody. Brad says, I hope you feel better, Brian. Thank you. And Lazy Corner, Bingo Glam, I say forgo the remakes and start forging new paths. Glam says, those poorly made remakes sometimes feel like a 90-minute commercial with all the product placements, right? Well, folks, it's 9 o'clock, so thank you for joining me tonight and each other. Have a good night. Have a good chiller night. We'll see you next week.